Thank you, Scott. Good evening. I will call to order the Finance Committee of February 27th, 2024 to order. That was our first order of business. The second is approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to move draft minutes of the February 13th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting?
I move approval.
All right. Motion for approval made by Alder Gerhardt. Is there discussion? Hearing none, I'll place the motion to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next item, public appearances. Non-agenda items. No one registered online or in chambers? Thank you, Scott. Moving on to item 4, the Finance Director report. That's 4A, Treasurer's Report Preliminary and pre-close as of December 31st, 2023. And I'll turn it over to you, Misty Dodge.
Thank you. So included in the packet is that Treasurer's Report. It's the preliminary one for December. We're still working real hard to get all of the financials updated before audit in a couple of weeks. We only present to you the first few pages at this point. Once we get through field work and we get any audit entries, we'll go back and I'll provide you the full support that you usually are seeing at the end of each month. Big news for this month, obviously, is tax collection. You can see we had almost $30 million collected in tax collection through the end of the year. So I'll pause if there's any other questions. Otherwise, I do have more things to report about.
No. Seeing none, go ahead.
Excellent. Other good news, so we were notified recently that we were awarded the Certificate of Achievement for our 2022 ACFR, our audit report. There is a big delay there, so it seems kind of silly to report that, hey, we did a good job for 2022, but it's still a good thing. This is our 8th year consecutively that we've gotten this award, so that's great. And then the plan is to submit our 2023 one for that same award. Would expect that we'll get it again then too. The couple of things that came out with the Act 12 or the shared revenue conversation from the state. One was maintenance of effort. So this is, remember, we have to meet certain requirements on the public safety side in particular, or else we would jeopardize our shared revenue. We still don't know what those rules are. I do have to file a report by July 1st to demonstrate that we complied with these rules. Hopefully we'll get them in the next couple of months. I have no doubt that we will comply with them because we do invest pretty heavily into our public safety, but just wanted to mention that those rules aren't available yet. And then along the same lines, I heard that the Innovation Fund rules are expected to be another 6 to 12 months out. So another thing to kind of keep in our mind, but we don't have any good details on it yet. So tax settlement, we did finish collections. We did through the grace period. I think I mentioned that last time. We did do the full tax settlement this last week, which had a couple of hiccups, but overall went really smoothly. The ARPA reporting is due soon, so got to figure that out. And then remember, we have to have all of that money at least committed by the end of 2024. So once I have 2023 costs figured out and kind of updated, we'll look at that and see what other movement we might have to make sure we're spending that ARPA money first and then that TID closure money second. So you might see something about that in the next couple months. And then, of course, the big news is audit prep. So auditors are here not next week, but the week after. So finance team is working hard to make sure that all of our numbers are accurate and all of our documentation is in order. But that's taking a lot of time right now. That is it.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Misty. Moving on to the next item, item 5, review of bills. It's 5A, detailed review of checks for $10,000 and above for the period of February 1st through the 15th, 2024, totaling $1,727,628.27. Discussion from the committee. All right, hearing none, I'll move on to the next item, 5B, detailed review of all checks issued. Checks 126376 through 126505 for the period of February 1st through the 15th, 2024, totaling $1,895,109.27. Discussion from the committee. All right, hearing none, I'll move on to the next item, 5C, detailed review of P-card transactions for $10,000 and above for the cycle ending January 8th, 2024, totaling $92,637.79. Discussion. Hearing none, moving on to item 5D, review of P-card transactions for the cycle ending January 8th, 2024, totaling $217,598.62. Discussion. Hearing none, we will move on to item 6. Item 6 is action items. 6A, do I have a motion to move resolution R-06-24, final assessment resolution for the 2023 sidewalk replacements?
I move approval.
All right. Alder Wheeler has motioned for approval, and Tim Volker is online. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution R-06-24, costs for the 2023 sidewalk replacements have been finalized. Now the assessments for the sidewalk replacements can be finalized. There is a need to update the assessment due to locations that were added since the last assessment hearing. These locations were added due to the severity of the tripping hazard, and the tripping hazard required immediate action. And that'd be it.
All right, very good. Questions from the committee? Discussion. Yes, Alder Gerhardt, go ahead.
Thanks. So with the next steps, once this is passed, is then we send out the final notices to each of the the property owners that have the assessments?
Correct.
Okay. And then, but they've all been notified that this was coming.
I believe so, right, Tim?
Correct. And then we had an assessment here, the preliminary assessment hearing back in August 2023. And then we also had a final assessment hearing that all the property owners were noticed, and that was held last week, Monday, on February 19th.
Great. And then for the properties that were added on a piecemeal basis, how does the notification work for those properties?
Along with the letter, we send out the spreadsheet that was included in the final assessment report, so they can compare their cost that was in the preliminary assessment to the final cost listed in the final assessment. So they would have received costs for both, and they would be able to compare the two.
Okay, but so there were no properties that were added, no properties that weren't part of the original assessment that were added? Sorry, I must have misunderstood the referral sheet.
Yeah, if you, let me just go to the agenda item. In the final assessment report, there's a table. It looks like on page 66 and 67. Actually, that's the preliminary one. Let me go to the final.
So I think it's on page 58 of the finance packet.
Yeah, so on page 58, starting of the parcel numbers and all the owners that were noticed. So all those property owners were noticed, and they'd be able to see the cost that they're going to be assessed on the right hand of that spreadsheet.
Okay, thank you.
All right, additional questions? Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next action item, 6B. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-23-24, adopting the 2025 through 2034 Capital Improvement Plan, commonly known as the CIP schedule?
I move approval.
All right. Alder Gerhardt has motion for approval. And, Mr., you're speaking to this item, correct?
Yes, please.
All right.
So ready to start kicking off the capital improvement plan update, the 2025 to 2034 update. Included in the packet is the draft schedule. For the most part, it's very similar to last year. I did note at the bottom there's one change. I did delay the finance committee presentations a little bit just due to my scheduling conflicts. And then there's also some additional information at the bottom with some guidelines. Wanted to just make sure that it's clear between council and myself, some certain things that have caused questions the last couple of years. So put that on here as well as a conversation starter.
Very good. Discussion, questions from the committee? Seeing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Moving on to the next action item, which is 6C. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-29-24, the Police Department purchase of body-worn cameras?
I move approval.
All right. Motion for approval made by Alder Wheeler, and I see the Chief Morales online. You're going to speak to this item, Chief?
Yes, sir. Basically, the police department's body-worn cameras have reached their life expectancy and are due for replacement. These are the first set of cameras that we've purchased here in the city of Fitchburg. The replacement obviously is necessary as electronic equipment tends to fail after constant use. No different than updating your cell phone and other electronic items such as that. In addition to the body-worn cameras replacement, there is some software upgrades that will be needed. That's included in this amount.
Very good. Thank you, Chief. Questions for the Chief? Alder Gerhardt, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think it's clear in the referral sheet, but just to clarify, the final cost is within budgeted amount. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Additional questions? Hearing none, I'll place the motion to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Next action item, 6D. We have a motion to move Resolution R-31-24, authorizing payment to Axley for outside legal services in 2024.
I move approval.
All right. Motion for approval made by Alder Gerhardt. Misty, you're speaking to this item? All
Yep.
right, go ahead.
So this is another one of those annual pre-approvals. So Axley is our established labor council. This coming year, we also will be going into negotiations with the two unions. So I'd like to engage them to assist us with that process. This amount is within budget.
All right, very good. Questions for Misty? All right, hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Moving on to the next action item, which is 6E. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-32-24, amending the 2023 water utility budget, PSC rate case?
I move approval.
All right. Motion for approval made by Alder Wheeler. And Misty, you're speaking to this item as well?
Sure.
Okay.
So as you know, we went to a full water rate case with the PSC towards the end of 2023. It ended up being a lot more questions than what we anticipated from the PSC. They bill us for their time based on the amount of time that they spend. So it ended up costing us a little bit more than what we originally intended or expected. So this is a budget amendment to pay for that additional cost.
Very good. All right. Questions from the committee? Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Moving on to the next action item, which is 6F. Motion to move Resolution R-38-24, approving change order number 1 for legal services with Seibel Law Office, and this is a direct referral.
I move approval.
All right. Motion for approval made by Alder Gerhardt. And Misty, I suspect you're speaking to this as well.
Yes, please.
All right.
This is another 2023 purchasing cleanup item. So the city engaged with Attorney Seibel to assist us in the defense of an assessment claim for the year. We expected at the time that the cost would be $25,000 or less. There was some additional work needed in order to defend the city in this case. So the cost came in a lot a little bit more than what we expected, so coming forward to council with that. The good news is, however, that the city did prevail in this case, so that money was well spent.
All right, thank you. Questions from the committee? Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us then to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. That concludes the action items, number 6. Moving on to number 7, announcements. The next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for March 12th, 2024. And then finally, number 8, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I move to adjourn.
All right. Motion for adjournment made by Alder Wheeler. I'll place the motion before us then to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you.